Bioregionalism is the only way of living that can ever be sustainable. In Endgame, I talk about how civilization is not and can never be sustainable, and then I define civilization as a way of life characterized by the growth of cities. I define a city as people living in numbers large enough to require the importation of resources. And what this means, the Tolowa, who lived here for at least 12,500 years, were not civilized. They didn't live in cities, they lived in villages, camps. They didn't require the importation of resources. And two things happen as soon as you require the importation of resources. One is that your way of living can never be sustainable, because if you require the importation of resources, it means you've denuded the landscape of that particular resource. And as your city grows, you'll denude an ever larger area. And the other thing it means is your way of life must be based on violence, because if you require the importation of resources, then that means that trade will never be sufficiently reliable, because if you require the importation of resources and the people in the next watershed over won't trade you for that resource, you're going to take it because you need it. And that means we can all have these voluntary transformations to becoming junior bodhisattvas, and the US military would still have to be huge, because how else are they going to get access to the oil they need to run the economy?
How do we confront the violence implicit in the industrial economy? I think that even the recognition that the violence is implicit in it is really important, because at one time maybe we thought that the industrial economy is maybe neutral or even a good thing, and that the violence is coming from somewhere else, maybe ourselves, maybe we're bad, and it's just a matter of re-engineering the system so that it is no longer violent. But I think we're understanding now that the violence is built in, like you say, and ultimately that system is built on our way of being in the world and our basic myths, the stories that define our culture. And to confront that requires work on every level, not just on the political level, but on the community level, family level, interpersonal level, and the inner level. And I think, when you say, how do we confront that? Who is this we? Different people have different gifts and are drawn to different applications of those gifts. So for some people, that question might be very personal, and examining yourself to see how do these industrial mindsets manifest in my own consciousness.
As long as we still have faith in the legislative bureaucracies of Washington, D.C. or Ottawa or whatever nation state we are in, I think we're going to be fooling ourselves that a broken system can work, or not even a system that's set up to exploit the earth and maximize production, which is a euphemism for the turning of living communities into dead commodities. So until we start to, take legitimacy away, in our minds from the governments of nation states and capitalist economies, exploitative economies all over the world, and shift that legitimacy into our own backyards, into our own communities and land bases. Until we start doing that, we're going to keep fighting the uphill battles.